Oh, hi everybody. I didn't see you there. I was trying to ward off spirits, which apparently salt and garlic can do. Houston seems to be cursed as a sports town given the goings-ons of the last 48 hours. We'll talk about that. React to what was said by DeMeco Ryans after watching the film of his 0-3 Texans. Something else is on the horizon for the Texans that's not making me feel very optimistic about a potential turnaround. And a college football six-pack with some big news when it comes to coaching changes today and everything else that you missed over the weekend in sports and beyond. I'm Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast. Hit it.
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people wonder.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
Grow up, mother. You kidding me? Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. It is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. I am Paul Gallant, and this is the most interactive multi-platform podcast airing at noon Central Time in Houston, Texas. In Houston, Texas. You can catch it live on YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, on X and Twitter at Gallant Says, at Gallant Says Pod, on Instagram at Sports Gallant, also on Facebook too at Paul Gallant Sports, clips after the fact, on TikTok at Gallant Says. You can join this show Monday through Friday at noon Central Time and occasionally after major Houston sporting events. Then after the fact, it's available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Like, subscribe, and all of those things if you can. Whatever your platform, we're probably there for you. If you're watching on YouTube, which I think is the best way to watch this show, and you want to cut me off mid-thought, pay me! Super chat me and I'll play this.
Paul, stop talking. Listen.
And I will immediately answer whatever the hell it is that you're trying to say. But I will eventually get to your comments, which you can also leave when the show is off the air by emailing gallantsays@gmail.com. Again, gallantsays@gmail.com. Or by calling in and leaving a voicemail at 281-836-3912. Again, 281-836-3912. Let's get through some of the comments quickly to open things up. Deverick Grant, what's up to you? B. Hannon, what up? Coog Blaze, thank you for the support. DeRhino says, we've won major championships in every sport except football. I don't think we're cursed, but definitely not on Big G's favorite lists. The man upstairs. Just seems like the last month or so, maybe the last year, has been pretty damn tough. Tony the Handsome said Houston sports went into the toilet after Paul and Joel were unceremoniously removed from certain places of employment. No, it's been worse since then, if we're being honest. I did not wear funeral black shades. I am not looking at this as a funeral for the Houston Rockets season, but finding out yesterday that Fred VanVleet, Rockets point guard, had suffered a torn ACL is a punch to the nuts after the punch to the gut that was the Texans losing to the Jaguars, and after the foot in the ass that was the Mariners sweeping the Astros. It's been rough, right? The report yesterday came a little bit after the Gallant Says podcast went off the air. It came courtesy of Shams Charania. This just in, Fred VanVleet has suffered a torn ACL, a devastating, potentially season-ending loss for the Rockets with their starting point guard and leader. And that is the leader of the Rockets. I know they've got some young players with upside and potential, but VanVleet is still that guy. Durant just arrived. Amen Thompson, Alperen Şengün trending that way. But VanVleet's the leader. VanVleet's the veteran holdover who's been here the entirety of the Ime Udoka era. And now it looks like he is going to be out for the entirety of the season. It happened at a recent offseason workout. And it has us asking a lot of questions about the Rockets. Who's going to play point guard this season? Do they even have the ability to find somebody else before the start of the year? But it was funny. I saw this post from Beam Thug, who you might know from clutchfans.net. This was in the midst of the Astros getting whooped. I think it was right after J.P. Crawford's grand slam. Kevin Durant is a Rocket. 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 Woof. We were talking all year about the Astros, God perhaps willing them to wins despite all of those injuries, but it felt like it caught up to them over the weekend. The Texans have been incredibly disappointing since last year's 5-1 start, and now you got this as a flat tire going into the year that is definitely going to hurt you. And we'll talk more about the basketball side of it in just a moment. Houston sports really seem cursed right now. Yordan Alvarez missed so much time this year with a strained muscle in his hand that turned out to be a fracture. He comes back, he's raking, then he's running to home plate after the Rangers threw a ball away. He skates on home plate, sprains his ankle. We're not sure if he'll be back before the end of the regular season, but he is on the 10-day IL right now. I do not understand why the Texans are bad. I don't. You could look at their history and say, well, Paul, you should have expected them to be disappointing. And that is actually a fair point. But I have no idea how this team that started off 5-1 last year, with the talent that we all know it to have, is 0-3 right now. Especially considering the last of those 3 games was against a Jacksonville Jaguars team that certainly has its own issues to clean up. They tried to give you that game with all the drop passes and all the other mistakes that they made. They were out penalized compared to you, and you've made that an art this year. So it seems once again the golden age of Houston sports is on hold. This is something that I used to joke about all the time with my buddy Mike Meltzer. Is this the golden age of Houston sports? I think we've asked that question like 5 times over the past decade or so. And generally every single time we ask that question, we figure out, oh, no, this team, this town has it pretty good, but it's not perfect. And it's probably extreme to say that Houston sports are cursed. It's probably extreme, but fuck it. Let's have some fun. Nobody has it worse than us, you know? Nobody in the Middle East has it worse than us. Nobody in those countries where freedoms are being slowly stripped away has it worse than us. Nope. We have it the worst. We had to watch Sunday. We had to watch all of Astros Mariners over the weekend. We have to watch a bunch of West Coast Astros games this week with the hope that the Astros can actually clinch a playoff spot, which is now not a certainty. Yes, the Cougs are good, but they've got a wagon coming to town this weekend. Texas Tech. And I'm wearing this Texas Tech as an apology of sorts to all the Texas Tech fans out there since I sort of disrespected them on Friday. That was a hell of a win against Utah. We'll get to that in the college football 6-pack a little bit later. I thought to myself, if we believe this city is cursed when it comes to sports, what the hell is a curse? The dictionary defines a curse as a solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. It can also be a coarse or blasphemous word or phrase used to express anger or other strong emotion, like fuck, shit, ass, piss. You can also invoke or use a curse against someone or use language of the same type. So, is this city cursed? Is there perhaps witchcraft going on. Is that why things seem to be the way they are on this day, September 23rd, 2025 at 12:14 p.m. Central Time? Maybe we need to fight this curse with a little witchcraft of our own, a little sorcery. I've actually got the necessary materials. I have a witch hat. This, I suppose, makes me a wizard. Not a grand wizard. I've also got a Slytherin robe. For those who don't know, on Pottermore, I am Slytherin. That doesn't mean I'm a racist. There are lots of non-racist Slytherins, just like there were a lot of. No, there weren't any good Nazis, probably. But hey, there were some good Slytherins, right? I think. I don't know. But, okay. If Houston sports are cursed, perhaps we need to do something back. Let me roll up my robe sleeves. Per artificial intelligence, after a Google search, to stop a perceived curse, you can dispute its power by refusing to believe it. Well, I don't think any Houston sports fan is going to refuse to believe a curse. You can use protective measures. There are cleansing rituals such as a salt and herb bath. I just showered. I don't know if I want to do that again. You can confess your faith in a higher power. You can also seek professional spiritual guidance. How do you stop a curse? Dispute the curse's power. I dispute you! I dispute your existence! I can see why the Slytherins looked like Nazis when I'm, waving the wand at the camera like that. Pray. Seek divine intervention through prayer and invoking sacred names like Tom Brady. It says that on artificial intelligence. I did not say that at all. You could use protective herbs and materials. Hang garlic or rosemary above doorways. Sprinkle salt over your left shoulder. I have salt. This is my left shoulder. Using sea salt. Sea salt's the best salt. I also have garlic powder. I don't know. Does that work? There we go. Oh, yes. Garlic powder everywhere. Hopefully the microphone still works. It actually smells pretty good. It smells pretty good. Create a protective talisman. Make or consecrate an object to repel the curse. Confess and repent. Acknowledge any sins or negative associations, like with the occult, and turn away from them. You can express forgiveness. It could provide a foothold for negativity. And you can also counter with positive thoughts. Well, I'm not fucking capable of that. Sounds lame. You could seek medical advice if you believe you're cursed and you want to stop it, like we believe Houston sports could be. You could analyze the situation objectively. Stop talking about it. Curses can be symbolic or literal, is an important thing to consider per AI. Your belief matters. The power of a curse often depends on the belief given to it. A strong disbelief can render it powerless. Sounds like artificial intelligence is actually saying this is real. That these are real. Curses are real. But given I've got my wizard hat on, not Grand Wizard, fuck you, I would never do that. And my Slytherin robe on, perhaps we could use some Harry Potter counter curses to get Houston sports uncursed. Or we could just curse back, right? Fight curses with curses. I am a powerful wizard, and I put a curse upon all those who play the Texans the rest of the season. I put a curse upon all those who play the Astros the remainder of this season. And I put a curse upon all of those who would try to defy our beloved Rockets this year. I curse the Adams family. Dead and gone forever, Bud Adams, you are cursed! Amy Adams Strunk, you are cursed for your obsession with rubbing our faces and the fact that the Titans have the Oilers history and uniforms but aren't going to wear them anymore! I curse you, Astros medical staff and training staff, because you just fucking suck! A curse upon all ye! Anyway. Why do people believe Houston sports are cursed? And if you want me to put the robe back on and the hat back on, super chat me. It's hot as balls in here. Why do people believe that Houston sports are cursed? Google artificial intelligence says Houston sports are not cursed. It's a concept among frustrated fans who point to unfortunate events like bad luck with injuries and late game collapses as evidence. But this belief doesn't have factual basis, and many of Houston's professional teams, like the Astros, have achieved championships and success. Some people bring up the Oilers' playoff exit in 1992, Chris Paul's hamstring tear in 2018, the Astros' Game 5 loss in 1980. But artificial intelligence per Google argues that actually Houston is a pretty successful sports town. The first championship ever was the Houston Mudcats in 1889. Who could forget? Yes, I said 1889. Who could forget? But what could be cursing Houston? I asked Grok as well, give me a list of all the reasons Houston sports fans think Houston sports are cursed. The infamous Buffalo comeback in 93 where the Oilers blew a 35-3 lead to lose 41-38 in overtime to the Bills. But that belongs to Tennessee now. Tennessee has to eat that. They own the history. The Rockets blowing the largest fourth quarter lead in NBA playoff history against the Suns in 1994, earning the Choke City nickname. But they won the title that year. No Super Bowl appearances for the Oilers or Texans. The Oilers relocating to Tennessee, becoming the Titans, adding to Houston's loss of identity. The Rockets' back-to-back titles are often discounted due to Michael Jordan's absence, though he was there the last time. The Astros' devastating 2005 National League Championship Series loss on Albert Pujols' home run. They did win that, though, didn't they? Followed by a World Series sweep. They won that series. The Astros enduring 3 straight 100-loss seasons, 2011 to 2013. The University of Houston basketball losing the 83 championship due to failing to box out on a game-winning dunk. Is that the one that they lost to North Carolina State? The Astros' 2017 World Series win tainted by the sign-stealing cheating scandal. Fuck you. That's not real. It's not real. Absolutely bullshit, Grok. Frequent injuries to key players. Jose Altuve, Tank Dell, Fred VanVleet. Ted Cruz attending games. Astrodome curse from firing blanks at a 1962 groundbreaking ceremony symbolizing firing blanks in big moments because they used to Houston Colt 45s. Rumored curse from building the Astrodome on a possible Native American burial site. Is that real? Not drafting Vince Young in 2006. The Houston Dynamo being bottom feeders for the last almost 20 years. No hockey team. 2017 hosting the Super Bowl where the Falcons blew the lead, adding to Houston's collapse association. But Tom Brady overcame a 28-3 lead there. Multiple teams struggling at the same time. Bad ownership, front office issues, national media disdain, and perception of Houston as a joke sports city. Okay. Why are Houston sports cursed? I saw this thrown up in the chat, and I gotta find this. CJ Stroud talking Houston women. It did happen at one point. CJ Stroud on Houston women v. LA women. Here we go.
You know, it's
Let's watch along here.
crazy, bro. It's not even close. Oh yeah, hold on.
I'm interested.
Like, it's not even close.
It's not close?
No,
So what's the separation here?
LA, bro. It's not even close, bro. I love Houston, but
That's crazy. It's not even close?
it's not close, bro.
I want to apologize to all of my sisters from Houston, Texas, bro, on behalf.
And I can't go into detail for real. I don't want to. I want to do that.
Yeah.
But
You don't have
I want you to go in detail since we're not going to hear much of this side of CJ Stroud anymore since he's getting clowned by everyone.
long
you said
story
what you
short,
said,
bro.
I got mad and it wasn't even mad. But y'all know, but here it is too. Y'all know I ain't been doing nothing. I mean, I've really been. I mean, I have to be focused on my job. You know what I'm saying?
It's valid. I'm not gonna. It was just about.
And it's no disrespect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just got here in April, so like I don't know too much about the city, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I'll show you around a little bit.
Bet.
Tell you where you need to go. Take my boy where you need to
He
go.
out of trouble. So we can get him. You be
Is he talking about like all the strip clubs that are around my apartment / condo? Like Treasures and the men's club and Polecats and the works. I don't know. I've never been in Los Angeles long enough to determine whether or not there are more attractive people there than in Houston, but I would think there's a good chance that a city with a lot of aspiring actors and actresses probably has a little more. I'm not meaning to throw any shade here. I do think that compared to the other places that I've lived, Boston, I think everyone in Boston has a very high sense of self. I would say the same with Seattle. I don't think it's close between Houston and Seattle or Houston and Boston. I would say between Boston and Seattle, it's not the best. St. Pete, Florida, where I went to high school, the high school I went to and would argue that, okay, St. Pete's doing pretty well, but there's a lot of old people. There's a lot of old people in Florida. So I don't know. And I don't know that everyone in Florida's, little bougie bouges, where there's lots of money. Which is what I guess I'm trying to say. I just remember the reason I bring up my high school. I remember seeing kids getting picked up and their moms. There were some hot moms at my high school. a lot of hot moms. Anyway, B-Hannon brings up, go to Clutch Bar on Friday night, CJ. Really anywhere on Washington. Why? Do you want to get shot? Washington's awful now. I wouldn't be caught dead on Washington because if I were, I would probably be dead. Hey-o! Anyway, listen. That's one of the reasons that maybe the Texans are cursed. There's CJ Stroud's hat choice. Is this why Houston sports are cursed? He's wearing a Mariners hat one day before a preseason game. He's wearing a Yankees hat before and after the games. But the game that we just saw Sunday against the Jaguars. Is it that? Some have argued that Houston sports could be cursed because of Stroud dating Amber Rose, allegedly. Remember this video? This was after, I think, Travis Scott's celebrity softball game, but he's seen leaving with Amber Rose. They're getting in a car together. Strong, powerful, independent woman. They're not super cozy as they're walking to their car. They're getting in. She's putting her bag in the trunk. Huh. Did she keep her purse with her? Or did she put the bag in the trunk? We're going to need to look at that one last time here. Am I blind? I can't see. But if she put the bag in the trunk, there's a very good chance that she went to CJ's house. That's what I was looking for there. They denied having a relationship. We just met. Okay, but I mean, you can't shaboink if you just met. Anyway, things to consider. Why are Houston sports cursed? What could it be? Why? Because people think that after what went down with Fred VanVleet. And if you are just tuning in, Fred VanVleet tore his ACL at a recent offseason workout. Does seem like there's a very good chance he'll be out for the year. Obviously, the NBA season, we've still got about, a month until it tips off, and it lasts a really long time. But are you expecting Fred VanVleet to be ready to go by, the second round of the playoffs or something like that? So you got to ask the question, what the hell can the Houston Rockets do right now? Because you would prefer to get a guy instead of rolling into the year with Aaron Holiday and Reed Shepherd. You want someone with experience, and I suppose the ball could go through Kevin Durant a little bit more, and that Ahmed Thompson can pick up the slack from time to time too. But you don't want to go into a year when you're a team that already has some scoring issues with a point guard by committee of sorts. And it seems like you're going to be forced to do that early on. The Rockets are $1.25 million below the first apron, according to ESPN's Bobby Marks. They can get an injury exception, but I think they have to wait a little bit to actually get it. I saw this post from Locked On Rockets, Jackson Gatlin. The Rockets can get an injury exception for Fred VanVleet worth half of his salary, $12.5 million. It doesn't allow them to go past the first apron. It sounds like if any move happens, they're going to have to wait a couple of months. And does that put the Rockets in a spot where they're not going to be able to get themselves good seating in the West? You would think the Spurs will be better. You would think that the Mavericks will be better. It's a marathon, not a sprint, though. I don't think this keeps the Rockets out of the playoffs. It just makes you think a lot differently about their championship chances. So now there's a lot of pressure on Reed Shepherd. And while I think he has shown flashes of belonging in the NBA, he's had a couple of games where he started cooking. Not for very long. He has active hands defensively, seems to be a pretty good passer, but also seems like someone you can overwhelm with size. We're going to figure out a lot about him, because I would imagine the Rockets are just going to throw him right into the fire. Unless Ime Udoka's like, no, I'm sticking with the vets. We're going to put a lot of Aaron Holiday out there. But we're going to learn a lot about Reed Shepherd this year. I suppose that makes this season a little bit more interesting. And for all the people who are constantly complaining about Fred VanVleet playing, all you people who wanted Fred VanVleet gone, and there were a lot of you assholes last year, the way that you framed your anger that the Rockets were playing Fred VanVleet was, quite frankly, dickish, and ended up looking a little bit foolish come playoff time when Fred VanVleet was the best Rockets player offensively in that series against the Warriors. Game 4 of that series, he shot 8 of 12 from outside. Game 5 of that series, 4 of 6 from outside. Game 6, 6 for 9 from outside. He was lights out in crunch time. He was putting up shots. You were wondering how the hell he was doing it. He's a guy who has always said, I'm going to be as aggressive as I possibly can be. Doesn't matter if I miss a bunch of shots. If I have an opportunity to put up 20 shots, I'm going to put up 20 shots. And this guy is now missing. So I'll say it one more time. For all those people who wanted Fred VanVleet to the side, who I think should have been apologizing after what he did for the Rockets in that playoff series. You're finally getting your wish. Let's see what happens. Lots of pressure on Reed Shepherd, who I think most people would argue isn't ready for this. Lots of pressure on Aaron Holiday, who a lot of people would probably argue they just don't want to see that much of because they don't think he has much upside. Time will tell. So people are bringing up that Mike Gundy's out at Oklahoma State. We'll get to that in the college football six-pack. Monday Night Football last night. That was a hell of a game. Really awesome football game. My first thought watching the game, especially given that I had to sit through that brutal Texans-Jaguars game on Sunday, was, fuck, man. Given how my NFL Sundays typically go, and while I'm not working, I'm still going to cover the Houston Texans as if I have my radio show job, and I like to cover them as in as focused a manner as I possibly can, because I think people still do give a shit about what I say about that team, perhaps relative to all the other teams in town, because I think for most of the other teams, I'm a little more goofy and casual with it. But that game was brutal, and thinking about, hey, a 6-hour day where I'm either going to NRG Stadium or covering the Texans from home, basically, I have to get lucky and either get done with all my work by the end of the late afternoon window and hope a good game's on, or hope that the Sunday Night Football slate has a good game. This week it did not. Giants and Chiefs. The fucking Giants always foisted on Sunday Night Football, just like the Bears. Can we stop? And then a good Monday night game. We got a good Monday night game this week. But how many of those are we going to get over the course of this year? And how many Sundays am I going to spend occupied with the Houston Texans? I'm already not going to watch the Ravens game live. I'm going to Oregon with the beautiful girlfriend, who I love, and going to meet the parents. We're also going to a wedding of one of her cousins. I cannot wait for that. And the Texans 0-3 start makes me feel a whole lot less guilty about missing that game, because I was feeling guilty about potentially missing the game. Now I don't give a shit. They win that game, okay, maybe I'll care a little bit more. But anyway, I spend so much of my Sundays and covering this team, and I miss out on all sorts of awesome football as a result. I mean, what were there, like 9 special teams and defensive touchdowns on this week in the NFL? And we had all those games decided at the last second. I think there were 7 total, technically, that were decided in the final minute. And I'm watching one of those games, but the worst one of those games. Ugh. Anyway. Yeah. Javi Goodtime says, my first thought was, is this what an actual NFL offense looks like? And I was immediately jealous. I felt the same. Dan Campbell has balls. The Lions were 3 for 3 on 4th down, and the play call that he drew up to convert that 4th down to win the game, holy shit. A beautiful call, and I think all of us watch it, and in the words of my ex-colleague Lance Zierlein, Detroit's offensive play designs are completely foreign to Texans fans. I completely agree. Ugh. So the Lions win 38-30. They're 2-1. The Ravens fall to 1-2. It makes me think about a post that I saw on Texans Reddit talking about how people look at the Texans as a tier below the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens. And someone said, hey, I mean, one of these teams is going to underachieve. Well, technically, 3 of the 4 teams are underachieving right now. You're just underachieving so much, you can't really look at yourself in the mirror and try to put yourself at that table. It's like a heifer who, a Biggleby who thinks that she belongs at the hot girls table. I know that sounds mean when I say it, but, would the girls from Mean Girls, the Pink on Tuesday Society or whatever the fuck they called themselves, would they have allowed a Biggleby to sit with them? Probably not. No, they probably would have said something horrible and mean to her. But you are the Biggleby right now. That 38-30 game that puts the Lions at 2-1 and the Ravens at 1-2 wasn't as close as the final score indicates. Detroit had a 98-yard touchdown drive. They had a 96-yard touchdown drive. They ran the ball 38 times for 224 yards. Baltimore missed 20 tackles on the game. The Lions allowed 0 sacks. We're running trick plays, which goes back to us thinking about how the Texans' offense is just unable to put anything together that we want to see. And the Lions had 7 sacks. 7. Of Lamar Jackson, of all people. And one of the guys that was doing a lot of the work was Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, that guy, he looks like a pretty good player, huh? And that's not to say that, hey, the Texans don't have a guy like that. But it would be nice if they had a guy like that, no? Wouldn't it be nice if they had someone that was on his level? And with all due respect to Will Anderson, but, a guy that's regularly in this game coming close to making plays, but still not actually making the plays. As you can see here, edge pass rush win rate, Will Anderson was first in the league this past week. Myles Garrett was second. You'll hear from Myles Garrett in case you missed it segment. He's got to finish him. Really? I don't know, but Aiden Hutchinson's a level above Will Anderson. The Lions have talent. The Lions do the little things, like that sequence where you saw their kicker, a Houston guy, Jake Bates, make a touchdown-saving tackle, or where Zach Cunningham, ex-Houston Texans, stays square, stops the Ravens from scoring a touchdown on the goal line. Detroit is just on another level compared to you. I suppose if you want, you could make criticisms of the Ravens operation because the Ravens aren't doing the little things. I'm not a big Ryan Clark fan, but I did think Clark's post after the game talking about how Baltimore needs to change its mentality because this is a team that really did seem to believe that showing up was enough. Like the Lions just out-executed them, no matter what that final score was. Everyone looks at the Ravens and they think they have all that talent, like this dork, who I'm not a fan of, Ben Solak, who I don't know if he's a Ringer or ESPN or what, but he posted this to Blue Sky, which apparently I guess it gets less hate than posting on X. He said, the Ravens are so good, they aren't even interesting to talk about anymore while they were running up that lead on the Bills in the first game of the year. Ooh, how do they match up against the... Doesn't matter. How will the Chiefs play the... Don't care. Which NFC would be best at? None. Wrong. He talks about the NFL with the enthusiasm of the 18-year-old interns that we used to have at the station I used to work at. I do not understand the appeal. Am I jealous? 100%. I don't get it. Anyway, doesn't matter, Paul. Doesn't matter, Brian. AFC South champions. Derrick Henry fumbled in this game down the stretch. He now has a fumble in every single one of his games. And if you want to learn a lesson, Houston Texans, on this, it's that there are situations where it's okay to go all out and to maybe put the ball at risk. Daria Gunbawale, why is he diving forward after the Texans had just got a first down when he's not even getting out of bounds while diving forward, and he ends up short of the first down anyway? Gets the ball punched out by Landman. Texans lose to the Rams. Nico Collins has the ball in the red zone. tries to do too much. He had already converted a first down. For some reason, he decides he wants to fight for more yardage. While fighting for more yardage, a Jacksonville Jaguars defensive back punches it out. Like, this is what happens in the NFL. These players are all taught to try and get the ball loose, make a takeaway happen by any means necessary. And while running through tacklers is great, if you're constantly thinking about running through tacklers, stiff-arming tacklers, spinning around tacklers, at some point, it's just human nature. You are going to put the ball in harm's way, and it doesn't take much for these guys who are all practicing how to punch the football out in practice. Charles Tillman led a revolution. Peanut Tillman, you might remember, former Bears cornerback. There's a time and place when it comes to breaking tackles. You have to know your situation. You don't want to end up fumbling in critical situations. One of my favorite players growing up, Mike Allstott, played for the Bucks, bruising white fullback. And he would truck people, but every now and then he would fumble too. He put the ball in harm's way. You got to know when and when not to put the ball in harm's way. Diving for the goal line. Hey, if it's third down, if it's fourth and goal, I get it. Diving for the goal line on first or second down, putting the ball out, and it rolls out of your hand out the back of the end zone for a touchback, that's a deserved repercussion for not protecting the football. Henry's got to protect it more. And look, we all know he's great at breaking tackles. He's an absolute train once he gets moving. But 3 fumbles in 3 games is unacceptable. And it sort of goes back to, if you take a look at the Ravens aren't doing the little things either, much like the Texans aren't. One last tidbit from Monday Night Football. I don't get how we don't have technology to determine if a field goal was good when it goes right over a goalpost. Because that happened in last night's game. Remember, the ball goes right over a goalpost? One, make the goalposts taller, right? I mean, that's obvious. 2, it's 2025. We definitely have the technology to have lasers that go straight up above the goalposts and to determine where the ball would have hit, if it would have bounced off, if we don't want to just make the goalpost taller. This is a rant I've heard Adam Carolla make time after time after time. I agree with it. Because afterwards, the NFL said that that field goal by the Ravens was not reviewable because even though field goals and extra point tries can be reviewed on replay, they're not reviewable when the kick is higher than the top of the uprights, according to the NFL's rules. What? How the fuck is that a thing? So you can't review whether or not that actually was a good field goal, and you're not going to raise the uprights higher, and you don't have lasers that determine whether or not it was in the goalpost. What are we fucking doing? It's 2025. No excuse. None. There should be 32 out of 32 teams bitching to the competition committee about that. Because it happens enough where you're like, wait, was that a field goal? That poor ref didn't know. He's looking up. He's like, He didn't know. Joe Buck didn't know. So just one last little tidbit about Monday Night Football. The Texans offense, guys, it's fucking bad. It is really fucking bad. I'm seeing everyone bitching about it. CJ Stroud ranks 38th among quarterbacks. 38th per Pro Football Focus. I think that is an accurate reflection of where this Texans offense has been, if not necessarily a reflection of what CJ Stroud is from a talent perspective. But that doesn't matter anymore. If you're not executing, you can't continue to beat the drum for talent. And, you know, I know some on the YouTube and Twitch side of things give me shit because I would rather have CJ Stroud than Jared Goff. But Jared Goff was executing that offense last night. Does help with a better offensive line and better weapons around him. But Jared Goff wasn't fucking up last night, and CJ Stroud, he's missing guys. Goff missed a few guys himself. I think Stroud has more talent there, but Goff works in that offense in a level that Stroud isn't. And you can blame the offense and the offensive line and the skill players around him all you want, but Stroud's a part of this operation, and I do not like the idea of removing him from blame, especially now that this team is 0-3. People are getting really frustrated that things are looking a lot like 2002 and 2005. Those are the only 2 times in Texans history that they've scored 38 points or less the first 3 weeks of the year. They think that this offense is also going back in time because they're going away from some of the things that they did with Bobby Slowick, which is some West Coast stuff, play action. They went from 13th to 32nd from last year to this year. I get why they're not doing as much play fakes because of the lack of ability to run the football when they want to, and the lack of ability to protect CJ Stroud when they do it. But you need to do that more than 32nd in the league. And then they also are 19th in pre-snap shift and motion rate compared to 61st last year. They went from 6th to 19th thus far. They're moving backwards. Everyone is sick of New England Patriots Association. And it's interesting. This is something I'd heard in the offseason, specifically with that Jaguars general manager. Do you remember this guy? James Gladstone is the new Jaguars general manager. And I'm looking for a clip on my computer that I pulled from this guy because it's pretty damn funny. It's James Gladstone basically speaking in LinkedInese. The Texans were aware of this clip. You can watch it
a
on
lot
right
of this,
now.
it just requires discipline. Like, for the most part, you become so intimate in understanding who these people are in the build-up to those draft day decisions that, by the end of it, you know what you're taking on, and you have to make the decision as to whether or not you can accept that person for who they are. And the people that we will accept for who they are and invite and select will be those that are intangibly rich. And people, again, I know I've been asked quite often, like, what does that actually mean? And I promise that whatever just came to your mind is what I'm thinking. Like, it exists. It's in my mind as well as yours. But I was asked right off the jump, physical and mental toughness, like, that's a part of intangibly rich, and it's a big part of it. So those two elements will be top of mind. I mean, when you look at our draft day call sheet, the items that we're bucketing in that intangibly rich category are the largest, brightest number and color on our call sheet. And it's because that's where we start. At every point of player acquisition, that's where we start. Doesn't mean that it'll be exactly the order that we select in or pick or choose from, but it will be where we begin every decision.
At what point did you zone out during that LinkedInese from James Gladstone, who I think is younger than me? Probably didn't take you that long, right? Sort of like where I'm at whenever I hear Nick Caserio speak. Eventually, my eyes glaze over. And that quote right there and everything that you heard from the Jaguars this offseason, I know that there are people in the Texans organization that were laughing at that guy. Laughing at him. And look, everyone across the league was laughing at him a little bit. But if you're in the Texans front office and you're doing that, I'm going to depress you if you're a Texans fan. After the Texans lost on Monday to the Buccaneers, I saw this Reddit post. It asked this question: when will we see a players-only meeting? If you don't remember last season, the Texans had their fair share of those last year. You might remember, after they had lost to the Detroit Lions, Jimmy Ward said, we already had a players-only meeting. All it was about just staying together. It, I guess, took place the Monday before their loss. But I guess another one happened after that. So at some point last year, and this got me to get featured on the Pat McAfee show. At some point last year, the Texans had at least 2 players-only meeting, if not 3, which is an indictment on last year's coaching staff, right? Well, it seems like now that they are 0-3, that they are talking about, after what C.J. Stroud had characterized as lollygagging after one loss, and talking about how we need to have tough conversations after another loss. It sounds like those tough conversations might be coming again in another players-only meeting. Here is a clip courtesy of Big Sarge Sports with Azeez Al-Shaair. I think it's on mute. There we go. Unmuted. Azeez Al-Shaair, everybody.
As a team and where you all are right now, is there any point that you all have thought about just having a players-only meeting or anything to get back on, get back on the same page, get to where you all need to be?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think kind of like last year we had a couple of those, and I think that's definitely something that we've talked about already, but just something that we kind of just keep in-house for sure.
It's something we've talked about, but something that we're keeping in-house. They didn't do anything last year. I don't know why they would do anything this year. And the more players-only meetings you have, the more that some of those players are just going to get annoyed by the idea of the meeting. Meetings, for anyone who has worked in any field whatsoever, are a gigantic fucking waste of time, generally, right? Because it will move into small talk. There will be some people who are talking that shouldn't be talking, that are talking way more than everybody else. And that lends itself to guys who actually should be speaking, not getting a chance to speak, yada, yada, yada. So they had multiple of these last year. They're doing it again this year. This shouldn't make you feel good about the Texans coaching staff. DeMeco Ryans at the helm. Should make you feel good about the quarterback and the leadership he's giving as well, C.J. Stroud. If they're thinking about another players-only meeting. But apparently, it's something they are considering. I wish Azeez Al-Shaair kept it a little bit more in-house, because I don't want to hear honesty when that question is asked. I don't want honesty. I would like to say, nope, we're focusing on Tennessee. I don't want to hear about more players-only meetings. Because when that clip got featured on the Pat McAfee show, they showed it to J.J. Watt to give him some shit, and J.J. Watt buried his head in his hands, and then they started talking about the pointlessness of players-only meetings and how annoying they can be from time to time. Jay Adams says a players-only meeting means the season is officially over. Ugh. St. Patrick 317 asks about Jimmy Ward. Was he doing anything before that meeting? Those are allegations, sir. Those are allegations. He is off the commissioner's exempt list. Now he's on the physically unable to perform list for the Texans. We'll see if he's back on the field in the near future. Team meeting could be on the horizon for the Texans again. Great. We heard from DeMeco Ryans yesterday, head coach of the Houston Texans. He was asked a couple of questions, and we're going to listen to some of them, not all of them. First, he was asked about the Texans rotating offensive linemen in over the course of Sunday's game, putting Juice Scruggs in the game. I don't really know why. It's been weird the way they've handled Juice Scruggs this year. Also, Blake Fisher, who was a healthy scratch. Here's DeMeco Ryans talking about that.
We rotated the guards in the game on Sunday because we felt like that's what we wanted to do, to give Juice a chance to get in there, and Juice did a really nice job with some of the reps that he was given.
Okay, I didn't watch the film. I have doubts about that. I have doubts. I think DeMeco often talks everything up. More from DeMeco Ryans yesterday. He was asked about the idea that the Texans are close, which is something that he had said during his press conference on Sunday. Here's that question and DeMeco's answer.
You say you're close. Are you close to
Shout out to Cody asking that question.
turning those close games into wins, or are you close to where you want?
Yeah, what I mean by close, I said we were close in our 3 games, right? We were there in the fourth quarter, right? We were close to finishing and closing those games out. But there are plays in each game that we've had these first 3 games that we didn't finish and win the game. So I'm not talking about close as a team, talking about winning the football game. That's what we're here to do. We're here to win football games. We've been in position to win those games.
Oh, my God. I can't. I fucking can't. Yeah, we know. Oh. I'm looking at the transcript, and I mean, hey, we were close in our 3 games. We were there. We were close to finishing. We didn't finish and win the game. I'm not talking about close as a team. I'm talking about winning the football game. Clearly you're not. You're 0-3. I get it. Couple of plays here, couple of plays there. Texans are 3-0. But you're not. And I feel like we heard Lovie Smith say this. And at least Lovie Smith, you could say, well, Lovie Smith's dealing with Davis Mills and an offense that doesn't have a lot of support for Davis Mills. Ugh. More from this press conference. This is just making me mad. He was asked about if close is encouraging. Like, what does close mean to you? Here's the head coach of your Houston Texans.
Plays. So is being close encouraging, or is that just
Landry asked that question. Shout out to Landry.
kind of a league-wide thing? Like,
No, it's not encouraging to be close. We want to win games. It's not about being close. That's just stating the facts or stating the obvious of how the 3 games have played out, how those games have happened for us. But we're not here to just be close. We're here to win the football game.
I mean, fuck. I mean, at least he didn't say, yeah, being close is encouraging. But, I mean, yeah, we are here to win the football game. Yeah, no shit. No shit. You've won back-to-back AFC Souths. Ugh. More from this press conference. He had a message for the team. This is certainly something. Maybe Mike Gundy should have pulled this from his bag. And we'll get to talking about Gundy in a moment. I don't know. I think we got to play this question in advance too, so that we can hear the entirety of DeMeco. And by the way, DeMeco's doing his thing again. The tongue's out. The tongue's always out.
Some of the messaging to the team overall, but to some of these young players who haven't been through this type of adversity. Like, you got some players in that locker room that didn't lose 3 games throughout their whole college career, 3 games in a row throughout their whole college career. So how do you keep, those younger players motivated to, as the saying goes in the NFL, 1 game at a time?
Yeah, for sure. You keep guys motivated by understanding storms are going to hit you in life. Like, whether it's, we do football, but also in real life, like, storms will arise, storms will come in your life. And so, like, when you go through the storm, are you coming out stronger or are you getting ripped apart by the storm, right?
Oh, man.
And so there are different people who can handle the adversity and the storm that comes. It's like, how do you handle it? You got to remain resilient. You got to remain strong through it. And it really tests your character to see who are you truly as a player, as a man. Like, how are you? Who are you? And we'll see that. Like, we'll see how we handle this as individuals. We'll see how we handle this as a team.
Oh, my Lord. Talked about storms. Remember when Colin Kaepernick had that one post? Remember that post that he had? Colin Kaepernick storm post. Houston. He he posted with the caption. He posted like basically a picture of flooding in Houston. And this is one of the reasons, like, listen, he had the right to protest the national anthem, but this is one of the stupidest fucking things I've ever seen posted. It's one of the reasons you always have to take this guy with a grain of salt, the pig sock stuff. Like, he was intentionally divisive after a while. I warned you, the 7 arms coming. And he used his 7 to make the S. And it's like a bunch of cars, like, flooding. I really don't understand what the point of this post was. He made that post before the kneeling for the flag shit. Is there any way we could make that DeMeco Ryan speech a little bit more jazzed up? Let's try. I'm gonna do a little experiment here. Okay? Because hearing him talking about storms without any dramatic music underneath it, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. So let's try this. I'm gonna play a little music in the background here, okay? I think this is gonna get everyone going.
At a time. Yeah, for sure. You keep guys motivated by understanding storms are gonna hit you in life, like whether it's we do football, but also in real life, like storms will arise, storms will come in your life. It's like when you go through the storm, are you coming out stronger, or are you getting ripped apart by the storm? Right, and so there are different people who can handle those at the adversity and the storm that comes. It's like, how do you handle it?
It makes it a little better now. It's red, white, and blue today. Welcome to the greatest season of all. Are you ready for some football? All right. Did that work? Did that get you a little more pumped up hearing DeMeco talking? Playing a little football time in Houston underneath. Sound off in the chats. Oh, that speech didn't get me going. More from DeMeco's press conference. Here he is talking about, when asked about the Texans being 0-3. Is any optimism after hearing about that?
Team to go, the last team to go to start the season 0-3 and still make the playoffs was the 2018 Houston Texans, and in the midst of that they had that 9-game winning streak. Is that something that you could see this team doing as far as getting it back on track and ending up like they did?
Yeah, I did not know that, so thanks for the history there. But anything can happen.
Oh, okay. I'm back. I'm back on the bandwagon. DeMeco was asked about yelling at Nick Caley. Let's see what he had to say about that. He said it was the referees. We found that out live on the show yesterday. Let's see. Nick Caley. What do we got? Trying to find it in the transcripts here. All right. This is an interesting question.
You weren't yelling. Just we don't think you were, but so just to clarify, you weren't yelling.
Right, and making sure that we're able to run our offense the proper way.
You weren't yelling. Just we don't think you were, but so just to clarify, you weren't yelling at Nick Caley, correct?
I just said I was talking to the official. All right. No, I was not yelling at anybody on our sideline, any coaches, any players. I'm too cool for that.
Oh no, that we're going to have to save that as a drop. We're going to have to save that one as a drop. Did he really say I'm too cool for that? One more time.
And that anybody on our sideline, any coaches, any players, I'm too cool for that.
That did happen. This is too much laughing going on. Dude, you're 0-3. Come on. I want you to be angry and to take out your frustration on some poor reporter out there. Texans are 0-3. One last comment from DeMeco Ryans, and then we'll move on. We will. This is his message to the fans after being asked. This looks like a very long question. Wow, this question is very long. This is DeMeco Ryans being asked about the future.
With where he is.
Coach, I know that you all can control what you can control as far as coaches is concerned, as far as players and play on the field. But, you know, from the fan standpoint, they're looking at it and they're saying, you know, this team is 0-3, and, you know, for a lot of them, they don't feel like there's no coming back from that. What is, you know, something that you could say to the fans to, you know, encourage them to, you know, just say, hold on, don't, you know, jump ship yet?
You know, that's how we play the games, right? We're 0-3. We don't want to be 0-3, but that's the matter of the fact. That's where we are now, right? We have to go out. We have to play better. So for our fans, just continue to support us. If you want to, yeah, I know how everybody gets rowdy, everybody gets upset. You know, you should win every game. I get it. We're trying to win every game. We're working hard. We're doing our best. We just got to go play better to make sure we give our fans something to be proud of.
Thank you, guys. Coach.
Smile at the end. Oh, boy. I once asked a similar question to Bill O'Brien with the Texans at the time 0-3. I did this at the request of Landry Locker, and I hope that I didn't take that long to actually ask the question. I don't, in fact, remember how this sounds, but Landry, when I was out one day at the Bill O'Brien Monday press conference, was like, you got to ask this question because the Texans were 0-3 to start off the 2018 season. Here is Big J journalist Paul Gallant 7 years ago.
We've seen glimpses of what this team can be last year. We've seen glimpses of it this year, but it's an 0-3 start. Fans get restless. Why should they believe in you as the head coach of this team?
Well, you know, look, I think we got to win. You know, so we understand that. We understand, you know, why fans would be upset with us. You know, we get it. That's the game. The game is winning. We're not winning. You know, I'm not going to stand up here and give you a speech. We just need to win. We need to find a way to win, and hopefully, you know, they'll stick with us.
Seeing some people in the chat saying, bring back Bill O'Brien. The sun will come up tomorrow. Bring Bill O'Brien back tomorrow. More Patriots South. The Patriots won 6 Super Bowls and they went to 9. Remember the one they lost. They were 18-0. Tomorrow, the Texans can't be much worse than this, you would think, because they're playing the Titans. And we will turn our attention ahead to the Tennessee Titans on tomorrow's episode. I think we've given you enough Texans content, so let's dive into some other things. No? Our college football six-pack. First off, Mike Gundy is out as head coach of Oklahoma State. I saw this go down a little bit ago. Report from ESPN. Mike Gundy has been fired by Oklahoma State He was in his 21st season leading the Cowboys. His exit comes 4 days after Oklahoma State fell 19-12 in a loss to Tulsa, less than 24 hours after Gundy practiced Monday and said that he has a 100% intention to remain with the program beyond the 2025 season. He said, I'm under contract here, I think, for 3.5 years. There's no denying that Oklahoma State has been bad of late. They've lost 11 of 12. They've lost 11 straight games to teams at the bowl division. It's the longest streak among Power 4 teams. Like, he had to go. I think there are some excuses as to why things maybe aren't going so well for Oklahoma State. They did get left behind in the Big 12. Oklahoma gets to move into the SEC. I think he did a pretty damn good job at Oklahoma State, all things considered. I don't know much about Stillwater, Oklahoma. I don't know much about that program. I know that they no longer have T. Boone Pickens, right? Because he's dead. To throw money into the program. I don't know who's going to want to go coach there, you know? Like, obviously, there's some history at Oklahoma State, right? Barry Sanders and all that, but who's going to want to coach there? I saw one of the rumors about who the next head coach of Oklahoma State could be is former Kansas State quarterback Colin Klein, who is the offensive coordinator for Texas A&M right now. Texas A&M is making it work with Marcel Reed under center. He's gone. That's the end of the Mike Gundy era, which we're all going to remember for this moment in time. I mean, what a rant. It's kind of a bummer that we won't get a personality like this in the college football world anymore. Honestly, it seems like we're losing cool personalities as far as college coaches year after year. But I feel like I would not be giving Mike Gundy, who I've always found to be an entertaining character, proper respect if I didn't play this audio to send him off.
If anybody hasn't read this article, I don't read it. This was brought to me by a mother of children. I think this is worth reading.
A mother of children. I don't remember that part.
Let me tell you why I want to talk about this article. 3/4 of this is inaccurate. It's fiction. Here's all that kid did. He goes to class. He's respectful to the media. He's respectful to the public. And he's a good kid. And he's not a professional athlete. And he doesn't deserve to be kicked when he's down. That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me or our coaches. And that's all I got to say. Makes me want to puke.
Did he get claps for that? He got claps for that rant. College sports are crazy to me. As someone who's like not that into them, you know, I'm more of a college football casual. I like Syracuse football. I like the Florida Gators, but the college town mentality is something else to me. We also got to play the Mike Gundy DUI quote, which have.
So I looked it up on my phone. What would be the legal limit? Like in Oklahoma is 0.08, and Ollie was 0.1. So I looked it up, and it was based on body weight. Not to get into the legal side of it, but I thought really 2 or 3 beers or 4. I'm not justifying what Ollie did. I'm telling you what decision I made. Well, I thought I've probably done that 1,000 times in my life, and I, it's just fine. So I got lucky. People get lucky. Ollie made a decision that he wished he could have done better. But when I talked to Ollie, I told him, I said, "You're lucky you got out light." So I looked it up on my phone.
He is. I do think Gundy is correct when he says that there's a lot of people who have been out there who have been behind the wheel after a few, thinking that they were okay while driving. I would say there's probably been a time in my life where that's been the case. And I'm going forward trying to make sure that I'm monitoring that and taking Ubers instead. But, you know, it's something a lot of people do, and all it takes is a split second. And people crushed Gundy for it. And I think it's because of how callous he sounded just talking about the cavalier nature of doing it 1,000 times. I think there was a way to frame that without, I think, saying like, yeah, I do this all the time. But he was being honest there. Anyway, college football six-pack, Mike Gundy, gone. Texas Tech smoked Utah 34-10. I'm sorry, Texas Tech. That's why I wore the Texas Tech shirt today, the Tortilla Toss t-shirt. I apologize. That's a great program. They're looking awesome. I did not expect them to go to Utah, a tough place to play and win. I know they've got money now. They're throwing it around. It's a new era for Texas Tech. And we'll see what they're able to do against the Cougs on Saturday. Thinking about going to the game. Got to figure out how to get to the game. But Texas Tech has been running up the score on everyone who doubted them. All the College Game Day crew, they picked Utah to win that game. I did too. And hell, even Joel Klatt with Texas Tech looking to kick a long field goal had Joel Klatt doubting them along the way. So, sorry. I'm sorry. Is it next Saturday? What's going on? I thought it was coming up on Saturday. Texas Tech, Houston game. Oh, you're right. It's the 4th. Okay, listen, I'm unemployed. Cut me some slack, okay? College football casual. Oregon State first. You're right. Forgot about that. All right, thanks, guys. Clean up aisle me. I also apologize to Indiana, who beat the living shit out of Illinois 63-10. I did not think that game would be a good game. I did not think either team was capable of more than 2 touchdowns because it's Big Ten football, which is a god-awful abomination outside of like Ohio State and sometimes actually outside of Oregon too, and maybe USC this year and occasionally Penn State. I have my doubts about Penn State. 63-10. God damn, Kurt Cignetti. Here is Indiana head coach Kirk Cignetti after they smoked Illinois, talking about breaking Illinois' will.
For Indiana Hoosier fans, stadium was plopping. Really proud of the team.
Did he say plopping or popping?
Was plopping.
He said plopping.
Stadium was plopping.
I don't know if that's a term by him.
Really proud of the team. Dominant performance. The pump block got us going. Then we busted a coverage on their touchdown. And then we made a lot of explosive plays, pressured the quarterback. I think we sacked him 7 times. And really just tried to get out of the game and shorten the game at the end and really kind of broke their will, I think. So it's a great win, and, I'm proud of the coaches and proud of the players.
He said broke their will. I was hoping, because I saw the transcript of that he would say it with a little bit more gusto. But, I mean, yeah, you beat a team 63-10. You certainly did. Texas beat Sam Houston State 55-0, but everyone is talking shit about Arch Manning. I think most of those people are Texas A&M Aggies. If you, in case you didn't see this one, here is some guy just scrolling through. Agnox posting reminded him of high school juking out 130-pound white guys every game. Nothing wrong with 130-pound white guys playing high school football. But just showing a bunch of people that were in the comments section responding to that. So a lot of people are clowning Arch because Arch, in the middle of this game against Sam Houston State, scored a touchdown and he stood over the Sam Houston State player. Was kind of being an asshole about it. I mean, Sam Houston State, like, they're not going to compete with Texas. They're not going to compete with any primetime program. They're not going to compete with probably the Cougs, for God's sake. So a lot of people decided to clown on Arch for that moment. I don't think I can actually show the clip of it, but one of those people, get this, is also a Texas A&M Aggie of yesteryear. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Johnny Manziel on the Nightcap Show.
Arch isn't playing well. He can hop up and flex on Sam Houston all he wants. Corny move, by the way.
I don't know where he got that from. I'm sure not only did his dad call him, his grandfather called him, and both of his uncles called him. Say, what the hell are you doing? You ain't got no business playing Sam Houston State.
This, for what Texas is right now and the way that he's been playing, it should be suit and tie, buttoned up. I got to learn how to throw a shallow cross.
Right.
I think he also said that he's Archibald until otherwise. That's from the Nightcap Show with Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson. But there might have been a little hypocrisy involved there because people were pointing to this moment from Johnny Manziel during his time with the Aggies playing Sam Houston State. You might see this right here. I mean, he just teabagged that guy's head, walks very, very slowly away from the scene of that crime. I don't know. I guess he wasn't looking him dead in the eyes while he stood over him or walking towards him. He was just walking over him. But can Texas and Texas A&M stop picking on Sam Houston State? Come on, y'all. Don't be mean to the Bearcats. Oklahoma beat Auburn 24-17, but refs are getting crushed for a couple of calls. First off, Auburn's first score that was wiped off the scoreboard was a fumble return for a touchdown. It was clearly a fumble. Oklahoma also scored early with a trick play that involved the player faking as if he were subbing off the field. The rules analyst said that's unsportsmanlike conduct. And then there was a brutal non-pass interference call at the end on that wasn't called on Oklahoma. The ref was basically running straight ahead of the Auburn receiver downfield right before the Oklahoma player hit him. He turned away entirely. It was clearly interference on review. Michigan hung on to beat Nebraska 30-7. Dylan Raiola is still cosplaying as Patrick Mahomes. In case you haven't seen the look of Dylan Raiola, here you go. I mean, dude, be yourself, man. Be yourself. More of Dylan Raiola cosplaying as Patrick Mahomes. He's even doing the dance. I mean, jumping Jehoshaphat, am I right? So, he hit a Hail Mary at halftime, so that's kind of cool. Alex Pillane says, Mahomes is cosplaying as Dylan Raiola, actually. Many are saying that. Biff Pogge's back. Remember him? He was at Coastal Carolina for a hot minute. Now he's back with Michigan football, and he said this after the game with Jenny Dell.
Haagen-Dazs coffee.
What are you going to do tonight to celebrate?
I'm going to eat some Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream with my wife and smoke a Cuban cigar and then probably go to the hospital. But I will tell you.
What are you?
I love that. Good for him. Good for him. Jenny Dell, former Red Sox reporter. And we got love in the air. First off, Ole Miss is playing LSU this week. Lane Kiffin's daughter hard launched her relationship with LSU linebacker Whit Weeks. That's kind of strange. You've also got love in the air on the sideline between America's favorite couple. Now, this is artificial intelligence, but it's maybe the best artificial intelligence I've ever seen. I guess Jordan was on the sideline again talking to Belichick either during the game or before the game. This is all-time artificial intelligence video. Wah, 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 wah. I mean, that's one of the best artificial intelligence videos I've ever seen. They're getting realer and realer. I never bought that was real, but I did laugh when I saw it. And also, Belichick, I guess, provided Central Florida ammo by calling Central Florida Central instead of calling them UCF. That's what Scott Frost said after the game. Oh, okay, dude, whatever. And you've also got an Arizona State player doing to Baylor's logo what Baylor's football program was put on probation for. I don't think that this is something you want your players to do. This is after a missed field goal at the gun by Baylor. Right here. See that guy right here? Mouse is pointing on him. That man was just humping the Baylor logo. Like he was just pelvic thrusting that thing. Arizona State knows how to party. Hanshu says the Baylor Stadium's kind of nice, actually. Yeah, it's actually fantastic. I went to a game there once. As far as the rankings, Ohio State's 1, Miami's up to 2, Oklahoma's top 10, they're 7th, Texas A&M up to 9, Texas is down to 10, Indiana and Texas Tech are up to 11 and 12th, respectively, after their wins. We also learned the annual SEC college football opponents for the next 4 seasons. Maybe it's something that can change from time to time, but these are the locked-in opponents for every single school. Alabama gets Auburn, Tennessee, Mississippi State. Arkansas gets Missouri, Texas, LSU. Auburn gets Alabama, Georgia, Vanderbilt. Florida gets Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky. Georgia, Auburn, Florida, South Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU. Arkansas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Mississippi State gets Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Alabama. Missouri gets Arkansas, A&M, Oklahoma. Oklahoma gets Missouri, Ole Miss, and Texas. Ole Miss gets Mississippi State, LSU, Oklahoma. South Carolina gets Georgia, Florida, Kentucky. Tennessee gets Alabama, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. Kind of a bummer Florida's not going to play Tennessee every year, but yeah, I kind of understand going forward why that might be the case. Texas gets A&M, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, LSU, Missouri, Texas, and Vanderbilt gets Auburn, Tennessee, Mississippi State. Texas going up against the 3 old school rivals. I like that. The Texas-Arkansas rivalry needs to be back. A&M getting Missouri is a weird one. I don't really get that one. So there you go. Those are the new SEC matchups. Tony the Handsome says, look at all these teams scared of scheduling Houston. That's so true. So true. The ACC is going to move to 9 conference games, and Syracuse got fined $25,000 for allegedly faking injuries against Clemson. What else happened over the weekend in sports? Let's just run through it as quickly as I can. The Colts finally punted. They have just 1 punt in 3 games, the fewest in the NFL since 1940. That's before World War II, and people are calling Daniel Jones Indiana Jones. Come on. I think we're better than that. Meanwhile, more of Todd Bowles being fun at post-game press conferences. Here's Todd Bowles talking about his thoughts when the Jets returned that blocked field goal for a touchdown. First, I got to unmute it.
My thoughts were going from when we run for a touchdown. Excuse my language, like you gotta fucking be shitting me.
Gotta fucking be shitting me. Hell yeah, Todd Bowles showing some personality at the podium. We love it. We love to see it. Also, some more personality. Did anyone see this clip of Aaron Glenn in the midst of the Jets-Buccaneers game as that field goal was happening? This is fucking awesome. I would love to see more coaches do shit like this. Hell yeah, brother. Get down. Get down. One more time for the people in the back. There we go. Loved seeing that from Aaron Glenn. Maybe the Jets actually have hope this year. Things not so good for the Atlanta Falcons. They got shut out 30-0 by the Carolina Panthers. That's pretty bad. Had it in my Survivor League. That wasn't fun. Here's Jay Seahorn asked about what went down.
Are you aware they never reached the 30-yard line?
No, I didn't know that. That's bad.
He was asked, are you aware that the Falcons never reached the 30-yard line? That's bad. Hey, at least the Texans did that. They just couldn't score after they did it. They would fumble. Myles Garrett and the Browns defense are looking really good to open up the year. Here's a clip from Packers-Browns showing what going up against Myles Garrett and getting by an offensive lineman does to an offensive lineman.
Bruh, I beat him on the cleanest inside last series.
Jordan! Run! An offensive lineman did say Jordan run. He's embellishing it a little bit, but that definitely did happen out there, and I kind of get it. Jerry Jones, after the Cowboys game on Sunday, where we found out afterwards CeeDee Lamb has a high ankle sprain and he's going to miss at least 2 weeks. This is after the Cowboys lost to the Chicago Bears. Rather convincingly was asked about if the Cowboys perhaps plan to do anything with all that they got in exchange for Micah Parsons.
Disheartening.
Jerry, after the Micah trade, you talked about the assets you acquired with the draft picks, how you could use those this year. With what you've seen in these first 3 games, are you feeling like you might need to use that capital?
Well, of course, to use that capital, you've got to have the opportunity to use it. And frankly, no matter what I had seen in these first 3 ball games, if I had the opportunity to really do some good with those picks, I would do it. And we've got them, and that's one of the advantages for, if you will, making the trade.
Hell yeah. They're talking about trading for picks, or trading picks for a player that they don't have.
Do you feel more urgency maybe now after what you've seen?
Well, not necessarily. That implies that being more urgent, I can create an opportunity to use them. That usually doesn't work that way at all. You've got to have something that comes your way that's really special, and if you've got the currency to do it, which in this case it would be draft picks, we'll do it.
I'm not sure who has it worse right now between Texans and Cowboys fans, because at the very least, Cowboys fans did not have high expectations going into this year. Texans fans had big expectations. I think a lot of people after the Micah Parsons trade, I mean, you're just completely fucking out, you know? You're just out. So, anyway, that was Jerry Jones. In case you missed it, everything else you missed over the weekend in sports. Travis Hunter is playing. You might have noticed he did have that one nice catch and run. He evaded a Henry toe tackle. He misses a lot of those. He was on the field for 37 offensive snaps, 43 defensive snaps. He's played 59% of Jacksonville's offensive snaps this year, 47% of their defensive snaps, and 4% of their special teams snaps. But he hasn't really done a whole lot. 10 receptions for 76 yards on the year. Only 2 of his catches have resulted in first downs. He did have 6 total tackles and 1 pass defensed. So he's not playing every down, and he's also not doing that much. Kickoffs are up through 3 weeks. Kickoff returns are up. 77.7% of kickoffs have been returned. 12 of those returns have gone past the 40-yard line. We had our first firing going back to the Falcons. Ike Hilliard was fired as the Falcons wide receiver coach. Passing game coordinator TJ Yates is now the receiver coach. Yes, Texans legend TJ Yates. We still have not seen our first benching at quarterback, unless you count J.J. McCarthy's injury for Carson Wentz. Here is Brian Daboll being asked about a potential change at quarterback with Russell Wilson really struggling.
After one day, any thoughts on what you're going to do with quarterback moving forward?
Yeah, we just watched the tape here, Paul. We're in the meetings with the players right now. Like I said yesterday, in order to improve the passing game, and I'd say that was the number one thing we needed to improve from yesterday. A collective, everybody's got to be, doing exactly the right stuff. So it's not all on one guy. There's multiple reasons why, certain plays didn't, come out the way we wanted them to come out, and we'll continue to do that.
That's a lot of words to not answer that question at all.
So Russ remains the starter moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we're working through, all personnel decisions, and we'll do that over the next few days.
Thank you.
Dan Duggan.
Hold on, so you're not saying Russ is the starter, right? You're saying you're still working through that?
Yeah, we're doing what we normally do, which is, watch the tape. We're just watching it with the players right now. So, we'll have staff meetings after this, but when we come in, we watch the tape, offense, defense, kicking game as a staff, and then we go meet with the players. That's where we're at right now.
When you say what you normally do, most Monday afternoons, who your quarterback's going to be the upcoming week if everyone's healthy, though. It just seems a little different, your responses.
Yeah, well, look, we're going through the tape right now. We're evaluating everything.
So quarterback change is on the table.
I'd say we're evaluating everything.
So they're going to probably bench Russell Wilson very soon. They love Jackson Dart. We do have some breaking news. And I wanted to make sure that I had this correct. This is pretty wild. We have our first consequences for the Houston Texans 0-3 start. Per Ian Rappaport, the Texans will release safety CJ Gardner Johnson. Wow. After 3 games? After 3? God damn. So, without knowing what the hell went on behind the scenes, I do know that Gardner Johnson has famously been considered, and I'll frame it politely, a dickhead in the past. I enjoy the trash talk he brings to the table. It's funny, but I was very annoyed with him getting into it with Baker Mayfield after he got a first down and then continuing it on Instagram after the fact. I'm going to have to look this up because this all happened. I've been doing this live stream for a while. DJ Bieneme says this was building, more to report on this. A bunch of people say that he was complaining about the scheme and teammates. CJ had posted this yesterday at 8:24 a.m. Regroup, bounce back, attack the week. I thought when they traded for CJ Gardner Johnson, considering he had 6 interceptions last year, that this could be the finishing touch for this defense. And from the sound of things, it seems like he was questioning the scheme as soon as he went in. And if you don't know this about DeMeco Ryans, DeMeco has his guys. And if you're not being one of his guys, you're out. But all the reporting I'm seeing is that he was being difficult. We'll get more, I'm sure, reporting on that front. This reminds me a lot of when the Texans released Ed Reed after a few games in 2013. This is going to be the lead story for tomorrow's Gallant Says podcast. I do want to have a little bit more details before I dive into it. That is wild, though. Truly is. Anyway, I want to get through everything else I have in my notes. I think somebody said, has Russell Wilson officially been benched? Because I did all this prep before the show. Let's see. There you go. Russell Wilson has been benched. Okay. Giants are planning to start Jackson Dart Sunday against the Chargers. Well, this is what happens when you do a shit ton of prep before a podcast and then you don't have all the deets by the time the thing starts. Because when I'm running this thing, I'm basically operating in the dark as far as any new information. We've gone a while. I've got some more things to get to, but I think the thing I learned for today's episode is there actually is such a thing as too much prep. So, couple of things that we didn't get to today, we will probably get to tomorrow on the show, specifically talking about Jimmy Kimmel, who's going to be back on the air tonight, a specific admission by the former Democratic presidential candidate. Hopefully we do make it tomorrow, because today, in the eyes of many, is Rapture Day, but I appreciate everybody tuning into this edition of the Gallant Says podcast. You can catch it live weekdays starting at noon on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like this video and subscribe. On Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a sub. On X and Twitter at Gallant Says. You can also get it at Gallant Says Pod. On Instagram at Sports Gallant. Also on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. Please, for the love of God, like this video and subscribe if you could. It'll happen occasionally after major Houston sporting events as well. While you're at it, for clips of the show, you can follow me on TikTok at Gallant Says, and you can hear this entire thing, and it's in podcast form wherever you get your podcast. So if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review me on Apple and on Spotify. If you roast my ass, I will read it. Until tomorrow at noon Central, so long, farewell, and have yourselves a wonderful Tuesday. Peace!